I'm very excited to be here. I'd like to thank the organizers of this awesome conference for organizing such a conference and making it possible for us to come to Florence for this conference. I would like to give particular thanks to Mr. Jacopo, Emanuela, and Alessandra, and the production team that brought this movie about. Today we're going to be talking about the Python software movement in Zimbabwe, how it started, and the challenges that were faced along the way in setting up our community. My name is Humphrey Butau, and I'm a Django developer from Harare. I've helped organize Django Girls Harare and Django Girls Masvingo. I've also helped to organize PyCon Zimbabwe, and I help out at PyLadies Harare.
Hello everyone, my name is Anna Makarudze. I'm so excited to be here and also grateful to the organizers for inviting us. I'm also a Python and Django developer. I live in Harare, but I was born and raised in Masvingo. I laugh with other people from Masvingo that we left Masvingo because of college when I went to Gweru and then started living in Harare. So it's no wonder that the second Django Girls event was in Masvingo. It was in my hometown. I also organized Django Girls Harare, PyCon Zimbabwe, and also started PyLadies Harare. I'm also volunteering on the Django Software Foundation Code of Conduct.
Okay. So the Zimbabwe Python movement started with a scholarship that we go to study with online learning site Treehouse. So we got scholarships from a company called Econet. It's a mobile company in Zimbabwe. So they undertook a very ambitious project of training about 1,000 developers. Out of the 1,000, just I think about 100 opted to do Python, to study Python. So when we're doing our treks, it was kind of difficult for us because we're just 100 and we're alone. We didn't have anyone to help us out with the treks. Python wasn't a programming language that was really known or used so much in Zimbabwe. So we then decided to maybe find a way, the students, find a way of how we could help each other with the treks. So we decided to meet regularly. Our first meetup were only 4, and we're meeting under those benches you see over there. There's not that much Python and Django companies in Zimbabwe, so we couldn't find a venue where we could meet and do all our stuff. So we chose that place. It was free. We would meet and we would help each other with our treks. At our first meetup, we're discussing, after we had started Python, we were discussing what should we do with Python. Others were arguing, no, why don't you do Flask? It's easier to understand and it's not a big framework. And others were saying Django. So we soon realized that there's a conversation that had started, and we didn't know that that conversation had started something that was going to grow big. So we decided to start a WhatsApp group, which was the most convenient at that time, where we could be helping each other along the way. As we were discussing things on WhatsApp, we decided, okay, why don't we bring more people to the community, to the meetups? We tried to bring as many people as we could, but we faced a myriad of challenges. Some people wanted to discuss how is it that you make money with Python first before they even knew what Python is and what it can be used for. So there was this mentality of wanting to make money before anything else. We tried to organize many meetups the way most of the meetings, it was mostly bureaucracy. People were always arguing about whom do we make the leader of this organization if it's going to be an organization anywhere? Or how do how do we organize ourselves so as to make money or so as to start businesses that are based on this. So in all this, we ended up finding out that we're failing to move as a community because we really don't know what it is that we're getting into. Python was something that was new in Zimbabwe. The technology, open source technology in Zimbabwe is something that had never been really explored. People were used to proprietary technologies. So with time, we got to know that our biggest problem was knowledge. Knowledge not only of the programming language, but knowledge also of what we're getting into. Firstly, we didn't know how to engage as a community. We didn't know what to use in as far as reaching the wider community, not only from the city that we were based in Harare. We needed to engage everybody. The platform that we're using, WhatsApp, was not ideal, as it was only confined to the people who had access to whom we had invited to the Python group, to the WhatsApp group. So we tried to set up a mailing list in order to reach as many people as possible right around the country, not only in Harare, but in Zimbabwe. If somebody in Zimbabwe wanted to know if there are any programmers, it would be difficult for them to know it from WhatsApp. So that is how we started the Google Groups mailing list, so that anybody who wanted to know about us could come and could just search on the internet, and then they'll just find out there's a Python user group in Zimbabwe. So in as far as knowing how to engage, that was the biggest problem that we have. We didn't know what tools to use. The other thing that we lacked knowledge with was the understanding of Python and its capabilities. People had a view of Python maybe just as a scripting language, which you couldn't do anything other than creating maybe bash scripts or something similar to bash scripts or bash processes on Windows. So we needed a way to convince people to know that Python you can do, and Django you can do greater things with it, but we didn't have any of that knowledge. In trying to bring up our community and trying to meet up, we didn't know how to organize Python events. We didn't know how to organize tech events, like not only conferences, like meetups. At the time, we didn't know what platforms to use in order to reach a wider audience. So we had a lot of challenges in trying to reach as many people as possible. We didn't know also who to approach. If it was in Zimbabwe, there weren't any open source companies, so we didn't know who to approach in the international community, who would help us. We were almost at zero, and we started researching how is it that we can get other people to assist us in making our community grow. So we finally got a call from PyCon Namibia to attend their conference. We were really happy when we got the chance to be able to attend PyCon Namibia, since it gave us an opportunity to overcome all those challenges of not knowing how to grow an open source and Python community. We were very excited to be attending the conference, such that even though our finances were not enough for us to go to Namibia, we risked and took the journey, which took about 33 hours to travel from Harare to Windhoek. It was worth for us to go because we really wanted to find out what really goes on at a tech conference, what really goes on at a Python and Django conference. So we risked that and said we traveled by a minibus which carries around 18 people. It's supposed to carry 16. But we crammed 4 people on one row for 33 hours till we got to Windhoek. But one thing that we really liked is when we got to Namibia, we got the chance to know what it is to organize a Python event. We got to meet very important people. We even got to know and find out what is Python used for and what is Django really used for, which was very important not only for us as individuals, but also for the people that were left back in Zimbabwe. Thank you.
So after attending PyCon Namibia, we got back to Zimbabwe and we now wanted to start building a community. So we thought the quickest way we could do that was by organizing Django Girls events as a build-up to a bigger event, which is PyCon Zimbabwe. And we organized the first Django Girls event in Harare. It was held on the 9th of April. It was successful. We managed to help 27 women and girls learn programming with Python and Django for the first time. So with organizing Django Girls Harare, everything was smooth. We didn't face any challenges. We got sponsorship from GitHub, the PSF, and Muzinda Hub. And basically, it was smooth and we're getting so excited. Then after Django Girls Harare, we decided to organize another Django Girls Masvingo. During that time, I decided to take a break and go home and try and regroup. So while I was in Masvingo, that's when I was liaising with Great Zimbabwe University to give us a venue so that we could work in partnership with them. Because Great Zimbabwe University is a state-owned university, there was some bureaucracy which took some time, but the length that it took also helped us combat other challenges that we faced during organizing Django Girls Masvingo. At that time, it became apparent to us that we would have challenges getting money from the PSF because of the sanctions which are against our country. So because companies in the United States, they have challenge, are not supposed to be supporting people on targeted sanctions. They have to prove that the people they are sponsoring are not under targeted sanctions, which would be a difficult process for the PSF to do. So at first they initially committed to supporting us, and then they raised that concern, and we were so bashed. How can we go on? We've already advertised this event. So during that time, we appealed to the mailing list in Africa and told them that this is the challenge that we faced. We can no longer get finance from the PSF. So it means that we're counting on the support from PSF for us to start PyCon Zimbabwe. So PyCon Zimbabwe won't be possible now. So whilst we're getting, still getting help from the community concerning what to do with the Django Girls Masvingo event, immediately we started also a crowdfunding project for PyCon Zimbabwe. So the challenge with Django Girls Masvingo actually helped us to start fundraising for PyCon Zimbabwe. Later on, the PSF finally managed to find a workaround to send money to us coming from Europe, and we managed to have the event in Masvingo on the 24th of September 2016, and we had students from Great Zimbabwe University and Masvingo Polytechnic, and they had never heard about Python, and they were actually thrilled to find that it was actually easier than all the other languages they had been taught in school, including C and Java. So they were really fond of Python. And the other thing, after working with Great Zimbabwe University, we were working with the Department of Mathematics and Computer Science. He had been trying to get his university to change the introductory language from C to Python. So after we organized Django Girls Masvingo, and we worked together with the university, later on when we had PyCon Zimbabwe, he actually told us that he had managed to get approval from his university, so they are now using Python as an introductory language in Great Zimbabwe University. So we're actually thrilled to have been a part of that, helping his process to get Python as an introductory language. So our community was growing bit by bit through that. So after the Django Girls Masvingo, we had help from a lot of people. Some of them who are here, Luke from 1% Club, told us we could do our campaign using 1%. Then Daniele Procida, he did a very convincing write-up for the campaign. Then we had so many people who we had met at PyCon Namibia, helping us with the campaign, the publicity. I remember when PyCon UK took place, we saw some photos on Twitter. Helen had actually did a lightning talk on PyCon Zimbabwe. So by the time PyCon UK was over, we were actually overfunded and our campaign was successful. So I want to thank every one of you whom we may not be able to mention you all by name, but I know amongst the attendees here today, we have people who contributed financially to make PyCon Zimbabwe successful. We are here to share the story that we have gone through organizing PyCon Zimbabwe and the Python community itself, but I believe that PyCon Zimbabwe was a success before it even took place, because we got support from many communities. The flags we have on our slides do not actually show the number of countries that supported us. We got support from all over the world, and we are really grateful that each one of you made it possible for us to have PyCon Zimbabwe. We only take the credit for doing the groundwork in Zimbabwe, but it is actually the global community which made PyCon Zimbabwe successful. And what we only had to do now in organizing PyCon Zimbabwe, it was just to set the dates and find a venue, and then now advertise, get participants to attend the conference, also get speakers. And we're also glad that even if the Python Software Foundation couldn't fund us directly by giving us money, they also sponsored our keynote speaker. We had help from the Django Software Foundation, we had help from GitHub, and we are grateful for the community that has been supporting us in making our events possible. I don't think we would have managed to do it if it was just Humphrey and I running around in Zimbabwe, knowing that they are not companies, big companies actually starting to use Python now for data science. But Python is relatively new, and when you tell people we are organizing a Python conference, they ask you what is Python and what is Django. It's a common question that you get in Zimbabwe, and I don't blame people who ask me that question, because even for me, before 2015, I didn't even know that there is a language called Python. And I only actually enrolled for it after realizing that, oh, it is a powerful data science language, and I'm trying to venture into data science. So Python is a language that is new, but we are happy that we are getting somewhere now with the help of the community. So we want to thank everyone who supported us in making PyCon Zimbabwe successful, and we had a great time. We actually managed to uncover that there were so many people who were using Python in Zimbabwe, only that we didn't know them.
So to share with you the successes that we have so far, in as far as trying to reach out to everyone else, we've managed to hold 3 Django Girls workshops in Zimbabwe. The first one was Django Girls Harare. We held it around on the 9th of April 2016. It was very important because it started the conversation, it added to the conversation that had already started concerning the Python language and Django. A lot of people were really interested. Only 30 signed up, but we're really happy to be able to hold the event. Around September 2016, we held a second Django Girls event at a city about 300 kilometers from Harare. It was also very important because it brought Django Girls to another part of the country, which was a bit far from the capital. Most of the activity goes on in the capital, Harare, but we had to spread the events to other places. And then in November, we managed to hold PyCon Zim, which was a very successful conference. We had intended to bring about 100 people, and then we ended with just under 60. This conference was very important because it added on to the conversation that had started already. Many people began to be interested in Python itself and its related technologies. Soon after the PyCon, we had a lot of people wanting to know how they can be involved in our community, how they can contribute, not only in terms of organizing, but how they can share their ideas. With PyCon Zim, we realized that there were many Python developers in Zimbabwe, but they were maybe dormant because they didn't know who to turn to. But with the advent of the conference, I can assure you there's now a lot of activity going on in Zimbabwe concerning Python and Django. Just before the year ended in 2016, there was an organization that teamed up with an NGO in Zimbabwe, and then they started Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, to them, is an initiative which is they're teaching underprivileged children to learn Python during after their lessons at school. So they're teaching them for free, and they'll be bringing mentors from around the world to come and teach the girls Python and Django. To add on to that, we'll also be holding another PyCon this year in August. This PyCon is important as it's going to add on to the work that has already been done by the previous one. We hope to bring more people, and from the responses that we're getting, there are a lot of people in Zimbabwe who really want to attend the conference, and they want to help in as much in any way they can, not only with organizing, but also attending and bringing more people to the conference. But besides all this, the milestones that we have mentioned, one thing that I'm really proud of, it, not only as an individual and also people back home, is the conversation that we have started. A lot of people now are saying a lot of things concerning these events, not only the events, but Python and Django. One thing that strikes me is a quote from Kuda. He's a lawyer. Before we started, people didn't know what to do, but from what he says, I'm learning to code in Python because I believe it's a good way to optimize some of the repetitive tasks lawyers do in their day-to-day practice. This quote strikes me because we didn't know, most people didn't know what to do with Python, but we have people like Kuda who are coming with so many innovative ways and something that we really didn't know could be possible with Python, using Python at a law firm, being used by a lawyer for that sake. So those are some of the things that really strike us. And the second one is from Vincent. Soon after PyCon Zimbabwe, I quote him, he said, my newest and possibly favorite quote from a PyCon Zim today: publish or perish, Pythonize and progress, programmize life, journals and code. This guy was very intrigued by the conference, and he was really happy from what he learned during the conference. So.
Okay. While we are still trying to set up a community in Zimbabwe, we still face the following challenges, and one of them is funding. We are currently going through, we have gone through cycles of economic challenges, but I think for the time being, we are at our worst. Companies are closing down, and we have got over 90% unemployment rate in Zimbabwe. So it makes it difficult for us to get funding from within Zimbabwe. And with that also, it brings about the issue of poverty within our intended participants. Sometimes people may actually want to come to a meetup and fail because they can't get money for transport to get into town. Or sometimes they want to attend workshops like Django Girls, but they can't because you are required to bring your own laptop. So this is, the issue of laptops is still a major challenge in us getting participants for Django Girls workshops, because most of the participants, they are willing to come, but they don't have computers to use. And this is really a huge challenge for us. The other challenge that we face is we are all, most of the people that are using Python in Zimbabwe. So it is one challenge that we have, that mentorship in Python is lacking. And then the other challenge that we are facing at the time being is there are no Python jobs, especially in Zimbabwe. So it doesn't make learning Python attractive for many people, because after they have learned the language, they find themselves that they can't get employed within Zimbabwe, and then they feel that it was a waste of time. But we are trying to encourage people just to meet up and continue learning the language. Then, how can you contribute to the open source community in Zimbabwe or in Africa? One way you can contribute to growing our community is mentorship, which can either be done online for those who can visit Zimbabwe, or who can attend in April this year. I think Zimbabwe is holding a mentorship week where they are bringing programmers from all over the world to come and mentor the girls who are being taught programming. So if you are interested, we are trying to have another mentorship week coincide with PyCon Zimbabwe. In August. If you are interested, you can also get in touch with us. Then we are also looking for conference speakers. When we had our first PyCon Zimbabwe, we had only 4 speakers who were not from Zimbabwe. 2 were from the United States, 1 was from South Africa, and 1 was from Namibia. And we'll also be excited to have speakers from all over the globe attending PyCon Zimbabwe 2017. It will help us learn more stuff about Python. When we had PyCon Zimbabwe, the only Django thing that was there, it was Django Girls Workshop Harare #2, and there were no talks on Django. And when I was seeing, following through the organizers tweeting about how many applications they got for DjangoCon Europe, they got 110, and they only needed 30. So I was thinking, 80 talks which were not accepted for DjangoCon Europe, it doesn't necessarily mean that they were any less important than the ones which were selected, but probably because they were not going with the theme of the conference. So I was thinking, if all those 80 applications had come for PyCon Zimbabwe, then we would have so many speakers and would have to extend the conference days. So, if you would all respond to our call for proposals when it opens, it will make our life easier if we have many speakers applying than having fewer speakers applying, like the current scenario that we have. So we are also appealing to you, if you can visit Zimbabwe. It's a beautiful country. Despite our economic challenges, you will find there's so much scenery to see if you are interested in tourism. And we've got fine weather, so if you would apply to be a conference speaker at PyCon Zimbabwe or any other upcoming PyCons in Africa, it would do a long way in growing those Python communities. So I'm hoping to meet some of you in Zimbabwe or in South Africa or in Nigeria or in Kenya. There are many countries who are trying to set up their own Python communities in Africa. So we are appealing to you to come and apply where there is less competition, and you are guaranteed, even for a keynote. We had to tweet that we are looking for a keynote speaker last year. And I can see many candidates here who would make very great keynote speakers at PyCon Zimbabwe 2017. So I'm looking forward to having many applications from many of you so that we have so many speakers at PyCon Zimbabwe 2017. We are also looking for sponsors who can work with us. Last year, we relied on a crowdfunding project. I'm not sure how that idea would continue working for us, but if we could get big sponsors who could help us with funding. Our conferences are still very small, and we don't have very huge budgets. And we also try to get very reasonably affordable venues, because we are too small and struggling. You don't start by doing fancy. So we're looking for sponsors who can help us make PyCon Zimbabwe 2017 a success. And if you can work with us, if you are here and you feel your company can sponsor us, please talk to us. We are willing to work with you. When we had PyCon Zimbabwe as well, we had an app that was donated to us for us to use, like the one we have here, and we are very grateful to the lady who donated it to us, and we hope she will also again do that the same for us in the next year, upcoming PyCon Zimbabwe. Then we are also hoping if there are companies that can recruit talent from Zimbabwe and Africa, there are many programmers who are looking for jobs in Zimbabwe and the rest of Africa. So we are also hoping that you can help us by doing that. You'd ask why would we contribute to open source growth in Africa, and one reason that I can give you is we have, I think, a reverse of the challenges. In Zimbabwe and most parts in Africa, there are Python developers who need jobs. And here, I see so many adverts, which meaning to say that we have got jobs which need developers. So I think if we can work hand in hand together in developing open source communities in Zimbabwe and in Africa, we actually solve each other's problems. So if we can contribute to, if you don't have any other reason for contributing to open source growth in Africa, then I think talent recruitment should be one of the reasons that you can do that. Other than that, you'll be making difference to a lot of people in Zimbabwe, especially most people who are underprivileged. Zimbabwe works with orphans, and sometimes they have to give them groceries to ensure, to make sure that they continue coming for the program. Most of the girls that are being helped by Zimbabwe are orphans. So there is really need for you to help to make a change in somebody's life who might not have a chance to a future because they've been orphaned or they are coming from a very underprivileged family. So we are hoping that you work with us as we continue to work for the growth of our community. Then we also hope to see open source growth in Zimbabwe and Africa.
The future of open source in Zimbabwe and Africa looks great with the things that have been started already. Firstly, there was a Python community in South Africa, but the one which really started the Spark, I think it's PyCon Namibia, which is going to lead, I believe, to, there's a conversation going on about holding a Python Africa event, which will also lead to a DjangoCon Africa. There's also open source collaborations going on, and we hope they will increase in the future so that we can really be able to meet as Africans in an African continent and bring visitors also from around Europe and the rest of the world. Or those who would want to get in touch with us concerning the events, we have a Python Africa mailing list, which you can, for you to be able to reach out to the African Python community. Most of our events also, we post them on Twitter and social media. We'll also be holding our PyCon in August, where we're going to have workshops, talks, and sprints. We are looking for sprints. We didn't have open source maintainers in Zimbabwe, but this time around, there are some people who have their own projects and who would want us to maybe experiment with sprints for the first time at our conference.
Okay. So we are taking this opportunity to invite you to PyCon Zimbabwe 2017 from the 23rd to the 26th of August in Harare. Our proposed venue is the National Training Center, where we had our last PyCon. And we are also looking for speakers, for sponsors, and if you can help in any way that you would want to, we are willing to hear you out. And please attend PyCon Zimbabwe. I think, as you can see, we are saying PyCon Zimbabwe is calling your name. So please, you are very welcome to attend PyCon Zimbabwe. We'll be glad to host you. And for our sprints, we actually, if there are people here, if you feel you have got an open source project that you are working on, that you are probably looking for maintainers, we are happy to hear out your idea so that we can have it as one of the sprints at PyCon Zimbabwe. So we are also looking for open source projects that we can contribute to by sprinting on them during PyCon Zimbabwe 2017. So that is all from us. If you have any questions.
line behind the microphone. I see Russell first in line as usual.
Thank you very much for that. Yes. All right. Thank you very much for the talk. No? Yes. Yes. We go. No. Yes. Yes. I am the very model of models. Are we on now? I am the very model, the modern Major General. Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? Bueller? Here we go. All right. It's a lot smaller than I'm used to. Thank you very much for the talk. I'm interested whether you think that you have been a voice for a community in Zimbabwe that was sort of already there and just waiting for someone to organise something, or if you think that the community has grown because all of a sudden this opportunity was there. How much of this is a community that now just has an opportunity, and how much of it is you have created a community?
I think it's a bit of both. We have introduced new members to the community through the Jungle Girls workshops, but also PyCon Zimbabwe made us realizing that there was actually a community that was, there were people who were using Python, but were not a community. So we actually managed to uncover Python community members using PyCon Zimbabwe, and we also managed to get new members to the community. So I think it was a bit of both, but I think the greater part was uncovering an existing Python community that was dormant. Because when we were actually shocked to have talks coming from Zimbabweans on Python, using it in reproducible research, many other interesting talks at PyCon Zimbabwe, and we're actually asking ourselves, where have these people been, you know? And we now have actually more activity on our WhatsApp groups. People are now asking questions and getting answers from other developers through the WhatsApp group. So I think we managed to introduce new members to the community, and at the same time, we managed to uncover a dormant Python community that was already in existence. So,
yeah, thank you. Thank you, Humphrey and Anna, very much. I'd like to know what the prospects are, do you think, for Pan-African events, just like this DjangoCon Europe? You mentioned a DjangoCon Africa. That's going to be a very difficult thing to pull off, isn't it, given the difficulty of traveling within Africa? How do you think you're going to make it happen?
Okay. What I think for now, the situation on the ground is it would be difficult for somebody to travel from, say, Cape Town to Cairo on the African continent. It's just not affordable. But until maybe when we get to a point when we have companies within Zimbabwe and within Africa itself, we can be able to maybe fund or to organize such events. But for now, we're basing on the community that is there already worldwide to assist us in organizing such things. But first we have to bring more people to be contributing and taking part in the whole thing. So.
Thank you very much, and best wishes for your future.
Thank you.
This is the last question.
Thanks for the talk. I was wondering how much help you get from institutions like the university or maybe even the government, the city. Is anybody interested in open source, or you're completely on your own?
Okay. We have managed to work with two universities so far. Great Zimbabwe University with Jungle Girls Masvingo. And then there's a Jungle Girls event taking place this weekend, which has been organized with the help of Chino University of Technology. Then other universities, it has been difficult for us to get support from them. A lot of bureaucracy, and then other universities, okay, there are financial challenges in Zimbabwe. So people are thinking of whether it will be a profitable venture or not. So it's difficult for us because we are growing a community and we are not there to make profit. So most of the time, we are on our own, but here and there we get universities which agree to cooperate with us. The government is broke at the moment, and we didn't even try because they are actually struggling to pay civil servants, so we didn't even try.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna Humphrey.